My girlfriend's family refuses to let me join their vacation because her ex will be there, but I already broke up with her, and her life is more miserable than ever. I'm 37 years old, and I've been seeing this woman, let's call her Amelia, for over 5 years. I've known her for 8. She worked at the company when we met at an office event, and we ended up working together for a few months. At that time, she was dating her childhood best friend, and I was seeing someone casually. Nothing happened between us. We just followed each other on social media. 2 years later, we had another chance to work together, and this time, she was single. She and her boyfriend had broken up because he moved abroad for his graduate studies and ended up staying there. I was also single, and after working together for a few months, I asked her out. She said yes, and we started dating. I changed jobs shortly after because my company had strict rules about dating coworkers. It's been 5 years since then, and we've been living together for 4 years. So it's far from a casual relationship. We've met each other's families. She often comes with me to my parents' house, and they love her. But this is not reciprocated with Amelia's family. I still feel disconnected from her parents. They are cold and odd. Amelia has this little family tradition where every year they go on a week-long vacation, just the immediate family. They have always been strict about this, and no boyfriends or girlfriends are allowed. That's what I was always told. She gets very excited about this trip, and they've followed this tradition since they were kids. Her father made sure they went on vacation each year, even when his finances were tight. They kept at it even as they grew up and moved away. No matter their situation, they always took a trip together. When she first told me about it, I found it fascinating. It's rare to find a family bond like that nowadays. Up until this year, I didn't mind that she went on trips and completely forgot about my existence. I gave her space to spend time with her family. However, this started to bother me. Our relationship has grown more serious. We haven't made it official with a wedding yet, but we're planning our future together, discussing commitment, finances, and other important topics. I've been wondering why they still treat me like a stranger. We've been together for 5 years. Shouldn't they consider me part of the family? A week ago, she took me to her parents' anniversary dinner where they were excitedly talking about the upcoming trip. I asked about the details and realized they weren't telling me the whole story, especially her sister. I casually asked if I could join, and they all unanimously said no, as if it were a big deal. Of course, I felt embarrassed when I saw their reactions. Her father tried to intervene, saying, "Don't misunderstand us. You two haven't made it official. Relationships these days don't last long, and we don't want to commit to your relationship before it's serious." I understood the message he was trying to convey, but his purpose wasn't clear. What's the problem if I join and then we break up? It's not like they do anything secret on these trips, and if we break up, it's not like they would have to kill me to keep that a secret. I felt like they didn't want me to know the details, as if I were some sort of outsider who shouldn't know about their secret mission. When this conversation happened, Amelia was in the kitchen. As soon as she came back, her sister told her with a smug look that I wanted to join the trip. To my surprise, she got even more upset than her family. She looked at me incredulously, as if I had committed a serious crime. I tried to explain that I had only asked if I could join, not that I had already packed, ready to head to the airport. Besides, it was just a casual question. She immediately shot me down, looking genuinely surprised that I even asked. She replied, "No, you can't come. This trip is just for family. You're not part of it yet." It would be one thing if her parents said that, but another when it's my girlfriend saying it, with whom we were discussing taking the next step. After 5 years together, am I still just an accessory for her or something casual? I didn't say anything else because I thought it wasn't worth arguing with someone who thought so little of me. I would never have said something like that to her, and my parents never treated her as if she weren't family. In fact, they treated her like family from the start. Still, this led to a big argument at home because she was eager to discuss the matter when we returned. She accused me of ruining the dinner, which was for her parents' anniversary, because I had a sour face the rest of the night. What did she expect me to do? Sit there and endure her attitude? They told me I wasn't family, including her, and expected me to sit there with a happy face while eating cake. I don't think so. Since she brought up the trip again, I thought it was a good time to bring up some odd things about her family tradition. I found it very mysterious what they were so jealously protecting, dressing in robes and worshiping some unknown god. Did they have to initiate me into this cult to go? Surprisingly, she calmly sat down and explained that it was non-negotiable family time, and they didn't want their partners to take attention away from their parents. She justified it by saying it was just a trip where the four of them focused exclusively on each other. To make me feel better, she added that her sister's boyfriend couldn't go with them either. That upset me even more, because Amelia's sister has never had a stable boyfriend, which is not comparable to my situation. Her relationships have never lasted more than a year, and her current boyfriend has only been around for a few months. Yet they were comparing me to her flings. Our fight got really ugly, and I didn't want to continue, so I went to bed. 2 days have passed, and we're not talking. She tried several times to discuss the issue, but I didn't want to get involved. The problem is, I don't feel good about this situation. At this point, I don't care about the trip. I care about how they exclude me. I know we're not engaged yet, but come on, we've been together for 5 years. Doesn't that count? On top of this, there's something else that bothers me a lot. Her ex's parents and her family have been friends for decades, and her ex's parents are always a part of these events. I've seen them at birthdays, family barbecues, Christmas dinners, her cousin's wedding, and even random weekend gatherings. They were more involved than I was, and I'm her boyfriend. As far as I remember, my in-laws aren't married to them. Isn't that strange? I always feel uncomfortable with their presence, but she assures me that her past is over, and that her family is just friends with her ex's family, which has nothing to do with her or him. In all these years, her ex has never shown up to any of these events and is out of the country. Maybe that's why I never made a big deal out of it. I can't stop them from being friends with Amelia's parents, but I'm not comfortable with her spending time with her ex's parents. It feels a bit sickening because it seems like they still haven't let go of that relationship, a relationship between Amelia and her ex in which, by the way, there was no commitment, which is the rule her parents have always cited. It also doesn't help that Amelia seems to care very little about what I think about this, calling me ridiculous and paranoid. She says it's just a trip, and I shouldn't make a big fuss about it, but it seems they're the ones who are making a fuss because I simply asked a question, and they all seem to lose it. She assures me I have nothing to worry about, but it's having the opposite effect. I feel like I'm being manipulated. What do you all think? Am I going crazy? Update 1. It seems I wasn't crazy. She's just plain unfaithful. After participating in this community, I convinced myself that I couldn't let this slide. I told her I didn't feel comfortable being marginalized and that if she truly cared about our relationship progressing, she and her family needed to start treating me better. I literally gave her an option. Either I go with them or we break up. I didn't even want to go. I was just testing how far she was willing to go to prioritize our relationship over her stupid vacation. She called me immature and tried to manipulate the situation, flipping the script on me. I stood firm, saying, "You can call me whatever you want, but I won't back down." After several rounds of fights, she finally agreed to talk to her parents about it. I thought, well, let's see what happens next. Meanwhile, one night, she left her phone unlocked and went to shower. I took the opportunity to snoop. I didn't have my fingerprints on her phone, but after a few attempts, I guessed the unlock pattern. I'm not happy I did something like this, but I'm glad I did because I discovered something very disturbing. I went straight to her family group chat to see what I after our fight over the trip. She had told them that I wanted to go, and her family was upset. Her mother responded, "You need to stop him. He can't come. It will ruin everything." At this point, the theory of a cult was gaining more traction, and I thought that insisting maybe was a bad idea. Perhaps I would now be used as a sacrifice. My girlfriend told them I was becoming a nuisance, and that I wanted to break up if she didn't listen to me. To this, her sister replied, "Good for you," with a bunch of confusing emojis. I had no idea what that meant. Then, there was a message where she said, "I can't do this. I'm happy with him." And her father responded, "You promised to try. Make a decision after the trip." I didn't understand the conversation fully, so I took as many pictures as I could to read later. Then I noticed the travel itinerary that her sister had shared. I quickly transferred it to my phone, checked her gallery, emails, and other folders, but found nothing. I deleted all evidence that I had tampered with her phone and left it as it was. Later, after she went to sleep, I opened the travel itinerary and the hotel reservation, and that's where things got ugly. They had booked 5 rooms, one in her parents' name, one for Amelia, one for her sister, one for Ryan, her ex, and one for his parents. So her ex and his parents were also going on the trip, but I wasn't. The good news is that at least it wasn't a cult, so my life wasn't at risk. But at the same time, I knew exactly what those reservations meant. If anyone hasn't caught on yet, my girlfriend was planning to cheat on me during the trip if she hadn't already, and the whole family knew and was encouraging it. And no, Ryan wasn't committed to Amelia, so this rule only applied to me. I know everyone reacts differently to infidelities. Some people want to hit their partners, some insult them, and others want to run far away and never see them again. I, on the other hand, closed myself off emotionally. I wanted out of the relationship at that point, but something inside me wanted to hurt her just as much as I felt hurt. I decided to stay quiet and plan my revenge. After all, we were fighting, so it would be easier to act like nothing was happening. But it wasn't easy at all. I couldn't stand seeing her face without feeling disgusted. The next day, after she went to work, I packed and checked into a hotel. I felt that I had emotionally detached from this relationship. I had stopped thinking about her. The way she handled the trip and how she marginalized me made it easier to end things. This truth was the final nail in the coffin. I sent her a message saying I was going away on a work trip for a week and that she could have a peaceful vacation with her family. She barely questioned it and instead replied with a voice message full of love, saying it was for the best that I left on my own. I stayed at the hotel until she left. I immediately started looking for a temporary place to stay as soon as she left for the airport. I returned home, packed up my things, went back to the hotel. For the first 4 days of her trip, I hardly heard from her. No calls, just the occasional obligatory message. I miss you, honey. Hope you're having a good week. But then, on day 5, I received a panicked call that I happily ignored. Then she sent me this voice message. I'm back home. Where the hell are you? Where are all your things? She arrived a day early and was surprised to find the apartment empty. After dozens of messages and calls, I replied, I left something for you on the kitchen counter. It wasn't a breakup letter. No, that would have been too easy and boring. It was a demand letter, every penny I had spent on her. Gifts, jewelry, vacations, her share of the rent and utilities for several months. I listed it all, even the damn perfume. I wanted it back too. I added a note saying, maybe you could ask Ryan to help you. I'm sure he won't mind. After a while, which is how long it took her to read what I left, the next voice message was, please give me a chance to explain. It's not what you think. She was crying and begging in the voice message. After enjoying that for a bit, I replied, pay your debt. Have a little respect for yourself. I know I can't legally claim that money back, but emotionally, I definitely could. She prides herself on being an independent woman who can pay her own bills. So, here we go. Pay what you owe me. She begged me to listen to her one last time before deciding anything, but I blocked her and said I'd only deal with emails related to the money she owed me from now on. Let's make this a professional relationship, because what we had hardly resembled a romantic one. After a week, she sent me an email saying she couldn't pay everything at once and needed time. I replied, maybe you should do some overtime or find a better job. With so many vacations, you've neglected your career. Then she was quiet for a few days. However, 2 days ago, she sent me all the money she owed, and suddenly, I feel rich. You know what I'm going to do with that money? I'm going to the Maldives. The amount covers a luxury week at a private resort on an island. You can't imagine how happy and free I feel. Not only will I be going on vacation, but it won't be a vacation with my ex or her family, which is a double win. My new vacation is still a month away. I couldn't afford a last-minute flight with what Amelia returned, but I can wait a while to go. I know she expects us to talk now that she has returned the money because she thinks it will soften me, and I'll be more willing to have a conversation. I might have told her I'd think about it to get the money, but I never promised I would. She knows about my trip, so I don't expect any news until after I get back. Update 2. Here's an update on this with some clarification. I'm not proud of everything I said or did, but after all the low insults I hurled at her, I can't say I'm completely sorry either. I'm not the kind of person who mistreats someone, but I'm also not the kind of man who stays quiet and accepts nonsense. I don't feel proud of what I said to her, but she wasn't exactly a saint either. After returning from my vacation, I had a visit at my office. Yes, it was Amelia. She had been waiting to have this conversation, but I was blocked and was more concerned about my trip than talking to a cheater. So she came to my workplace where I had no choice but to meet her. I wanted to throw her out, but she begged me to have one last chat. Apparently, she wanted to confess something. Perhaps this last chat would serve as a closure for both of us. What I discovered was the cherry on top of my revenge. First, she confessed how she managed to pay what I demanded since she didn't have much money, especially after paying for her family trip. She had to take out a loan. Although I don't think this is the important part, what came next was, according to her, the truth was that her ex had returned to town after being away, and her parents had insisted she consider him again. He had come back from another country, successful and with a career he built, so he was perfect for her parents. They organized the trip so she could clear her mind and decide between us. Her parents are friends with her ex's family, so everyone thought it was best for Amelia to be with her ex. Can you imagine what kind of family she has? She and her parents used me while her ex was away, and now that he's back, she's rethinking her decision. I understand she can be with whomever she wants, and if she wanted to leave me to go back to her ex, she had every right to. But she has no right to lie to me and be unfaithful. At the very least, she owed me a conversation first, not after the fact. She tried to place all the blame on her parents, saying they manipulated her into giving her ex another chance. But she also went on the trip. She must have thought it was a good idea to give him a chance even while she was in a relationship with me. Still, that doesn't matter now. I replied, "Okay. Why are you so desperate to confess this to me? You did what you did, and that's it." She wanted to assure me that nothing happened between them, that they were just talking and figuring out if they could rekindle their relationship. In her words, "Yes, I lied, but I didn't cheat." Why? Because they didn't have sex? Sure, maybe there was no sex, but the situation wasn't much better, and trusting a woman like her is something I can't do. I laughed in her face and said, "You're joking. You went on vacation with your ex and you're telling me nothing happened? Do you think I'm that stupid?" She cried and confessed, "I swear it was just a kiss. I thought of you the whole time after being with him. I realized how loving and caring you are. I never wanted to hurt you. During that trip, I realized that I love you." Liar. She realized she loved me on the 5th day of the trip. Was she thinking about me during the trip or during the kiss? So many questions, and she made it worse for herself. She then told me something that explained everything. On the 5th day, she was surprised to see her sister kissing Ryan. That was what triggered the sudden love message to me, and how she realized how much she loved me. No guilt, no loyalty, just the fact that her ex was likely sleeping with her sister. The message wasn't because she loved me, but because she lost her first option and was now looking at the second option: simple, loyal, and reliable. The problem is, her second option had already been lost before she left on the trip, and she lost the first one too. The funny part is that her sister and Ryan justified it all by saying it was just a casual makeout session since Amelia wasn't officially committed to him. Yes, in that family, commitments and kisses work differently than in the rest of the world. Can you imagine how twisted this all is? Ryan promised he would be loyal to her once she left me and returned to him. Until then, he had needs that her sister was satisfying. The strange thing is that her sister also has a boyfriend who has no idea what's going on during these family vacations. At least for me, all this seems very funny. Maybe it's because I'm watching from afar. She begged me to give her one last chance because of the 5 long years of our relationship. I asked her, "Did you honor the relationship? If you had, you wouldn't have taken your parents' advice about going back to your ex. You would have told me when your parents suggested the idea, but you hid it all from me. I won't buy your nonsense about being forced or manipulated. What are you, a 5-year-old? You did everything consciously. You've made your decision, and I've made mine." She started crying and begged me to forget everything, and we could start fresh. I told her it was too late. That ship had sailed. She grabbed my hands and asked me to forgive her. I told her I needed to get back to work, and that was it. When she left, I wondered why she wanted to come back to me. She could happily go back to her ex, right? I contacted her sister's boyfriend and told him everything. The guy came to see me and said he found this whole travel situation very odd. The way they kept it a secret sounded suspicious to him. He also thought it might be a cult, but like me, he always thought of it as a joke. Not that he took it seriously. Now we know the reason. The guy had no idea his girlfriend was sleeping with Amelia's ex, or at least that's what we thought. He thanked me and said he was going to break up with her immediately. I told him, "Man, run as fast as you can." I don't know what will happen with this guy, but if he can get out of that family of lunatics, I think he'll be better off. Besides, I don't think I ruined things too much for him because Amelia's sister doesn't tend to keep boyfriends for long. Update 3. A few weeks later, I received a call from the guy who was dating Amelia's sister. He informed me that Amelia's sister and Ryan were now officially together. Wow, they moved quickly. I feel bad for the guy because I laughed when he told me, but in my defense, it's pretty funny how twisted this family is. And no, I wasn't laughing at him, just at the situation. I wonder if her parents are happy or angry about this. I guess I'll never know. I can only imagine Amelia's misery of having to, and losing both because of cheating on her boyfriend and having a sister whose underwear is loose. To this day, I think asking that question at dinner was the best thing that happened because it unmasked the whole issue and brings us here now. At least this is the end of my saga with my girlfriend's family, who I thought was a cult. Edit. I think I have the answer to the question I asked in this update, thanks to having mutual friends with Amelia, and some posts from her former in-laws popped up. A photo where Ryan, Amelia's sister, and the parents are all in the same picture, and they look happy. The strange thing is that Amelia isn't in the picture, or any of the other ones they posted. So I think her parents are happy to have Ryan in the family, while Amelia is not at all happy that her parents are. But I'm happy because karma is so beautiful.